How's it going? Dave here, and in today's video I'm going to be talking all about altered chords and how to use them in neo-soul guitar. So altered chords are the key to making your playing sound more jazzy, basically. Anytime you've heard a neo-soul player add kind of a interesting, kind of tense and jazzy sounding chord, they're probably using an altered chord. So in today's video I'm going to show you how to use them. This video comes in 4 parts. The first part is explaining what altered chords are. The second part will show you how to play some altered chords on guitar. The third part will be how to use altered chords in a chord progression. And then the fourth part will be me showing you how to solo over the top of altered chords. So make sure you stick around for all 4 parts. What is an altered dominant chord? Well, it's made up of 2 words. Let's break down each word. First of all, dominant. You probably know what a dominant chord is in a key. Chord 5 is your dominant chord. So say we're playing in the key of G. Chord 5 would be D, and we could play a dominant chord, a dominant 7th chord, D7. And that builds a lot of tension that wants to be released by playing that G chord. Okay? And you'll notice that it's a 5th above the chord that we want to resolve to. So D is a 5th above G. Okay, so anytime we want to resolve to a chord a 5th lower, we can use a dominant chord. Now let's talk about the altered part. Altered dominant chord is where we take the 5th, or we take the 9th and alter either one of those, or both. So we could raise or lower the 5th or the 9th by a semitone. So we could get chords like a dominant 7 flat 5. We could get a dominant 7 sharp 5. We could get a dominant 7 flat 9. Or we could get a dominant 7 sharp 9. Now typically when we are altering these chords, we're adding notes that are not part of the key, so non-diatonic notes, and that's what creates this really jazzy, tense sound that you'll hear in a minute from altered chords. We could alter both the 5th and the 9th in a chord, so we could get a flat 5 flat 9, we could get a flat 5 sharp 9, we could get a sharp 5 flat 9, or we could get a sharp 5 sharp 9 chord as well. Let's take a look at how to play some altered dominant chords on guitar. So first of all, let's start off with the dominant 7 flat 5 chord. This is sometimes referred to as a dominant 7 sharp 11 chord. I refer to it as a sharp 11 chord more often than not. So let's take a look at how to play the dominant 7 flat 5 chord. Now I'm going to be keeping the root note on the 5th fret for every single one of these shapes that I'm going to be showing you. So the first shape, we're going to be playing 5 on the low E, 5 on the D, we're skipping the A, playing 6 on the G and 4 on the B. There you go, very, very tense sound with that chord. Now let's take a look at how to play with the root on the A string. So we're going to play 5 on the A, 6 on the D, 5 on the G and 7 on the B. And then for the root on the D string, we're going to play 5 on the D, 6 on the G and B strings, and 7 on the high E string. Okay, so that's the dominant 7 flat 5 chord. Now let's take a look at my personal favourite, the dominant 7 sharp 5 chord. So here's how we play a dominant 7 sharp 5 with the root note on the low E string. So we're going to play 5 on the low E, skip the A again, we're going to play 5 on the D, we're going to play 6 on the G and B strings. That's quite a nice sound, also very tense. To play it on the A string, with the root on the A string, we're going to play 5 on the A, 8 on the D, barring the 5th fret, we're playing 5 on the G string and 7 on the B string as well. There we go. And then to play it on the D string, we're playing 5 on the D, 8 on the G, 6 on the B string, and 7 on the high E string. Now let's take a look at the 9ths. So dominant 7 flat 9 chord. How do we play it? So first of all, here's one of the shapes I like to use for the root on the low E. So we're playing 5 on the low E, 5 on the D string, again skipping the A string, 3 on the G string and 5 on the B string. Dominant 7 flat 9. Then for the root on the A string, I like to play 5, 4, 5, 4. So 5 on the A, 4 on the D, 5 on the G, and 4 on the B. And then for the root on the D string, we're going to move that shape down a string and just stretch our ring finger out to the 6th fret. So we're playing 5, 4, 6, 4. So we've done the dominant 7 flat 9. Let's take a look at some sharp 9 altered chords. 5 on the low E. This time we are playing the A. The A string. So that's the 4th fret on the A, 5th fret on the D, G and B strings. Then we move to the A string. So we've got the 5th fret of the A, the 4th fret of the D, the 5th fret of the G, and the 6th fret of the B string. That's a more slightly pleasant sounding one. Then let's move to the root note on the D string. So we're playing 5 on the D, 4 on the G, 6 on the B, and 6 on the high E. Okay, so that covers flat 5, sharp 5, flat 9, and sharp 9. And as I said, we could combine the 5ths and 9ths with the dominant chord. So we could have a flat 5, sharp 9, or sharp 5, flat 9, whatever. I'm going to show you a couple of my favorites. I'm not going to show you every combination because we'll be here forever. But some of my favorite shapes, the sharp 5, flat 9. Whenever we have a sharp 5, sometimes it's also expressed as a flat 13 as well. So if you see a flat 13, it's the same interval as a sharp 5. We're playing 5 on the low E, 5 on the D, 6 on the G, B and E strings. Now I also like the sharp 5, sharp 9 chord, which might be otherwise referred to as the sharp 9, flat 13 chord. The way we play that is we play 5 on the A, 4 on the D, 5 on the G, and then 6 on the B and E strings. That chord sounds really good at the end of a 12-bar blues. It's a very bluesy sounding altered chord. So those are a couple of my favorite shapes. Now let's take a look at how to play altered chords within a chord progression. We're going to take a classic jazzy 2-5-1, and where the 5 chord is usually a dominant 7th chord, we're going to turn the 5 chord into an altered dominant chord. So let's play in the key of D to start off with. So in the key of D, a 2-5-1 would be E minor 7, A7, and then D major 7. Now for the A7, I'm going to play an A7 sharp 5. Okay, so let's hear how that sounds in context. You hear how it just adds a little bit more tension to the chord progression. Sounds really cool. This also works for a minor 2-5-1 as well. So let's do a 2-5-1 in the key of A minor, which would be B minor 7 flat 5, E7, and then A minor 7. Right, instead of the E7, I'm going to play an E7 sharp 9. Okay, so we're playing B minor 7 flat 5, E7 sharp 9, A minor 7. That extra tension in the altered dominant chord really makes for a more satisfying resolution to our chord progression, I find. If you've been following my channel for a while, you may know what a tritone substitution is. Now, if you don't know what a tritone substitution is, definitely check out the video which goes into detail on tritone substitutions. But for a very, 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 very basic description of what a tritone substitution is, it's where you play a dominant chord one semitone above whatever the next chord is. So, for example, if we were to play a 2-5-1 in the key of A major now, we would play A minor 7, E7, and then A major 7. Okay? But instead of playing this E7, we could play a dominant chord one fret above what the next chord is. So a fret above that is B flat. So we could play a B flat dominant 7. So altogether B minor 7, B flat 7, and then A major 7. Now on this tritone substitution, we could use a dominant 7 sharp 11 altered chord, and it sounds really, really interesting. So we've got B minor 7, B flat 7 sharp 11, and then A major 7. So as you can see, altered chords really add some nice tension into your chord progression. So now let's take a look at the final section of this video, and that is how to solo over the top of an altered chord. Now, the scale I would suggest using most of the time over an altered chord is the altered scale, and the altered scale is the 7th mode of the melodic minor scale, and it consists of a root, a flat second, a sharp second, a major third, flat fifth, sharp fifth, and a flat seventh. So as you can see, it's got all of our altered tones, so flat second, sharp second, which is the same as flat 9 and sharp 9, and it's got the flat fifth and the sharp fifth as well. So it works really well to play over an altered chord. And it also has the major third that is contained within a dominant chord, and the flat seventh, which is contained within a dominant chord. It's the perfect scale to play over altered chords. So let's take a quick look at how to play the altered scale. I'm going to keep the root note as A. So we're going to play 5, 6, 8, 9 on the low E string, then 6, 8 on the A string, then 5, 7, 8 on the D string, then 5, 6, 8 on the G string, then 6, 8 on the B string, and then 5, 6, 8, 9 on the high E string. So I've prepared an example sort of lick or solo using the altered scale over an altered dominant chord. We're taking the first chord progression we looked at today in the key of D major. So we're playing E minor 7, A 7 sharp 5, and D major 7. So we're in the key of D, so we're going to play the D major scale for most of it. But when we hit that A altered chord, that A7 sharp 5, we're going to play the A altered scale over the top of it. So take a listen. Now, the altered scale works anytime we have an altered chord. I'd recommend, because we don't have a perfect fifth in the scale, that when you play an altered chord, that you take the fifth out. Most of the shapes, I think all of the shapes I've shown you, don't include the perfect fifth. There's one particular altered chord where you can play a different scale that I really like to use. We talked about doing a tritone substitution in one of the chord progressions where we play B minor 7, B flat 7 sharp 11, and then A major 7. Now, anytime you're playing one of these tritone substitutions and using a dominant 7 sharp 11 chord, you could play the Lydian dominant scale. Now, the Lydian dominant scale consists of a root, second, third, sharp fourth, which is also known as a sharp 11th, fifth, sixth, and flat 7th. So it's got all the notes of a dominant chord, but it's got that sharp 11th in there as well, which we have in our dominant 7 sharp 11 chord, of course. So it works really well over dominant 7 sharp 11 chord. So let's take a look at how to play the Lydian dominant scale. We are playing it over a B flat dominant 7 sharp 11 chord, so I'll show you a B flat Lydian dominant scale. 6, 8 on the low E string, 5, 7, 8 on the A string, 5, 6, 8 on the D string, 5, 7 on the G string, 5, 6, 8, 9 on the B string, and then 6, 8 on the high E string. So I've prepared a lick over that chord progression. It's in the key of A, so we're playing A major for most of it, but when we hit that B flat 7 sharp 11, we're going to play the B flat Lydian dominant scale. So take a listen. Alright, so that's how you use the altered scale or the Lydian dominant scale over your altered dominant chords. So go ahead and try and write some music using some altered chords and using the altered scale or the Lydian dominant scale if you're using a sharp 11 chord. If you learned a lot from this video, it would be greatly appreciated if you could click like, let me know what you thought in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. Also, definitely check out my Patreon page. A lot of extra content there for as little as $2 a month, so the support would be greatly appreciated. I've got a book called Chord Charisma, which is available at my Patreon page as well. But the first 2 chapters are available for free down in the description as well. Those first 2 chapters are going to show you how to write a fairly simple, basic chord progression, but then build it up into something more sophisticated with the use of chord extensions like 6ths, 7ths, 9ths, 11ths, and 13ths. And you'll be creating really sophisticated sounding chord progressions, especially if you can use them in combination with these altered chords. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, down in the description for free, definitely go and check that out. I will see you in the next video. Have a good one.